A very good evening to you out there. Everybody, welcome to the Afia Sports Review Spot on Afia TV. I'm really glad to be here. This is the first sports show of the week. And of course, this is the first of three different sports shows that we're going to experience throughout this week to the end of January. And we have to start very, very on a good note. I know some people are not very excited. Some are very excited. Some are somewhere in between. But all the same, this is what sports is all about. You have the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So welcome, guys, to the Afia Sports Review Spot on Afia TV. The frequencies still remain Channel 254 DSTV, Channel 17 Go TV, and Channel 748 Free TV. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. My name is Sisi Emechebe. I'm also known as Sisi the Rabbi. That is my main moniker. And I'm not here alone. I have a very dear friend of mine, one that I've known for quite a while, and who is very sound in all that he does, particularly in the area of sports. I'm referring to none other than the man who is a sports analyst, sports presenter, and sports referee. Referring to none other than Kelechi Naji.
Yeah, good evening to you, Sisi, and good evening, everyone. I must say it's a brilliant week already because we've seen a lot of things go down in sports, and I have to say it's really exciting from the Australian Open to, the stuff that happened in the NBA, the NPFL, the Premier League, literally all around sports. There's been so much actions, and I can't just wait to get on with it.
Oh yes, you can't wait. You're echoing my sentiments. We just need to jump into what's on board and what we're going to look at right now. We start with the headline news, key headline news. Match week 22 of the Nigerian Premier Football League kicked off this weekend, and it started on an exciting note. But first of all, we have to point out that from the NPFL, the first headline is that Rangers coach Fidelis Ilechukwu has reaffirmed his commitment to the Flying Antelopes. This is coming off the back of some talk about him getting involved with Platter United. Now, he said that during a media conference, where he allayed the fears of many who have seen his magnificent work leading Rangers International to the title 2 seasons ago. Fidelis Ilechukwu said this during that press conference and then made sure that everybody knows that his heart is not turned, his head is not turned, he's focused on Rangers getting back to where they belong and getting in the title race. Rangers, for the record, are in the title race. Then the second bit of news right now, still from the NPFL, but on a sour note from the Southeast anyway, the same way. 9-time champions Enyimba suffered a 2-0 setback against Niger Tornadoes during the same match week 22. They went over there to Niger Tornadoes, played, but they lost 2-0, pushing them down to 12th on the log. And their investigations concerning misconduct that happened there and their fines that are being mooted concerning that might just affect Enyimba, the People's Elephant, in their bid to at least achieve a very strong finish in the NPFL this season. It's going to be a big one for them, but we still have 16 games to go, 16 games for them to turn their season around, but time will tell whether that is possible. And talking about turning seasons around, we also want to point out that a good number of players in Nigeria, in diaspora, Nigerian players, are unsung in terms of scoring, a red-hot scoring form. Though Victor Osimhen scored for Galatasaray over the weekend. He's in red hot scoring form. Akor Adams particularly was also in form, grabbing 3 goals in 2 appearances for Sevilla since coming back from the African Cup of Nations. We also saw that Samuel Chukwueze recently grabbed a goal for Fulham FC in their game in the Premier League. Of course, we know that he may miss penalties, but he scores goals. Make of that what you will. Also, Taiwo Oni was involved in the score sheet for Nottingham Forest recently in their game in the English Premier League. So Nigerians are back and scoring goals and giving Eric Sekuchel, a headache to think about. And speaking of headaches, we go straight to the NPFL proper, the NPFL match week 22. And that starts with the fixtures that we have and then the results. Looking at the fixtures of match week 22, I beg your pardon, in the NPFL, there is, for instance, a game that is ongoing as we speak. I'm going to give you headlines on that. And it is strange because Kun Khalifat at halftime are leading Remo Stars away from home 1-0. That is, the defending champions, Remo Stars, are being beaten as we speak. by Kun Khalifat, who are the basement boys in the NPFL. But the other results for the match round 22 of the Nigerian Premier Football League, Katsina United and Plateau United played out a goalless draw in the early kickoff on Saturday. And then El Kanemi Warriors beat Ikorodu City 1-0. Barao FC and Bayelsa United shared the spoils 1-1. Abia Warriors lost at home to Nasarawa United 2-1. Then Wiki Tourists beat Kano Pillars 2-0. That was a northern derby. Then, like we said earlier, Enugu Rangers, we'll get to that in a bit. The Flying Antelopes thrashed Warri Wolves and got sweet revenge, 4-2. And then Niger Tornadoes, we've mentioned, beat Enyimba 2-0. And as we speak, Remo Stars beat Kun Khalifat 1-0. And then the only game that was shown on Afia TV, because Afia TV is in collaboration with Afro Sports to show one NPFL game every Sunday. The studios open by 3:45 p.m. and then the game kicks off by 5 p.m. So the game that was shown was Shooting Stars of Ibadan up against Bendel Insurance. Rest assured that every Sunday from now on, Afia TV is going to show you one game that's being selected from the NPFL that will be played, so you can get a feel of what's going on in the NPFL right from your living room or your parlor. So that game ended 1-0. Now, coming to the game between Rangers International and Warri Wolves. Kelechi, we want to get to that right now. Rangers International lost their first game of the season in game week 2. Yeah. And that was against Warri Wolves. Now, after that goalless draw, first of all, at the Cathedral against Kun Khalifat, they then got their revenge recently, just last match week against Kun Khalifat. They beat them 2-1. Then Warri Wolves beat Rangers 2-0. I'm very sure that Fidelis Ilechukwu have been thinking about that. We know how Coach Fidelis Ilechukwu behaves, and he's somebody who always thinks about how to get back the honor that Rangers has lost, and he always takes it as a personal vendetta, and that paid out. We saw Gordon Obaje score in the first minute. I think the clips, MCR, PCR will have to help us with that, so people can actually see the highlights of that game. Rangers up against Warri Wolves. We saw Gordon Obaje grabbing a goal in the first minute, and then he scored a second goal, which now pushes him above. We can see the clips there, which pushes him above. This Iwundu, Chidozie Iwundu. We complained. I personally complained that our strikers are not scoring as many goals as they should. And Iwundu, who is a centre back, was the highest goal scorer for Rangers. But now we saw Gordon Obaje grabbing a goal in the first minute and the 11th minute. Then even this person, Chimobi Iguilo, grabbing a brace too. Beautiful goals that were scored there. Warri Wolves grabbed 2 goals, consolation goals. But scoring 4 goals at the Cathedral, we love seeing goals plundered, not scored by opponents like Kano Pillars did last season, but goals scored by the Flying Antelopes. Well, please take us through that game. I'm sure you have some insider scoop concerning the game.
Yeah, definitely. I was there at the Cathedral to see the game myself, and I must say it was an electrifying atmosphere as Rangers actually lit the place up in the first minute of the game. In fact, it was not even up to 1 minute before Godwin Obaje got Rangers on the lead. The game had just kicked off, and the first pass that went out for a throw-in. And from that throw-in, Wisdom Ebirim took a long throw, which Godwin Obaje rose higher than anyone else to plant a header, into the penalty, into the goal of the Warri Wolves. And just a few seconds into the game, Obaje had already given Rangers the lead. And a few minutes later, a corner kick came in, and Obaje also rose highest. I mean, you look at Obaje, you see his build, he's tall, and his feet.
He's huge.
You just know that he would bully anyone in the air. So he got the goals just before the first 10 minutes. The 2 goals came in before 10 minutes. And, at that point in time, Rangers had already unsettled Warri Wolves. So it would take a little bit of time for Warri Wolves to get back into the game. But I have to give Warri Wolves their props. They eventually got back into the game because, after going down by 2 goals, they rallied and found a way to get their rhythm in the game, and they started playing. And the first half ended 2-0. Coming back to the second half, Warri Wolves came back with a lot of fire, and they kept on pushing and pushing until they got that beautiful goal. I mean, that goal from Warri Wolves, it's a beautiful goal. I mean, it's a golazo. Yeah, the South Americans will call it golazo. It's a golazo. But the goal went in, and the Rangers coach, Fidelis Ilechukwu, I think it is worthy of note that he was not on the touchline. So he wasn't the one on the sidelines for Rangers. Remember, at the press conference on Friday, he mentioned he might not be on the touchlines. And actually, he wasn't. He was sitting in the stands and cheering the team. But immediately, Warriors got one goal back and they kept on pushing and pushing and pushing. He had to get up and, make some calls. Before you knew it, they made 2 substitutions. They brought on Chimaobi Igwilo, who now brought a new spark to the game. And Chimaobi Igwilo came on and got a brace himself. Immediately he got the brace, and just when everyone thought the game was over, it was a minute of clumsiness from the goalkeeper, Abine George, who, got his punch on the head of a Warriors player, and that was how Warriors got a late penalty that helped them get the second goal. But at that point, no one had any complaint because that Rangers had already won the game. And I have to say, it's a classic game from the two sides, especially from Rangers International, scoring 4 goals against their opponents. And this would make for a second game. Rangers is scoring 4 at home. I mean, I think anyone who follows the NPFL understands that we don't see lots of goals this way in the NPFL, but Rangers has managed to, score lots of goals at home. The last time they scored, I think 4, that was against Bayelsa United. Bayelsa United. So, they have somehow found a way to score the goals, and it doesn't matter where the goal is coming from. The most important thing, it is coming from Rangers. And remember, prior to this game, Warri Wolves had already won 4 matches away from home this season. So they understand what it means to play away from home. And even after the match, their coach also confirmed it, that they came into this game believing that they could win because they understand what it means to play away from home. Everywhere is home. So you go out and look for the victory. But at the end of the day, it was Rangers who picked up the victory. And like I said earlier, big ups to the team.
Yeah, big ups to the team. As a fan of Rangers International, I'm happy that this, should I call it this Davis No-Umi derby, ended up that way. People know why we're saying this now. Davis No-Umi played for both Warri Wolves and Rangers, and he was the general manager of Rangers and Warri Wolves. So, the COO, that is the Chief Operating Officer of the NPFL board, I'm referring to Davis No-Umi. So, going to the table, looking at the NPFL table, as it stands, Rivers United are top on the log with 41 points after 21 games. They have a game in hand. We'll get to that in a bit when we talk about their exploits on the continent, the CAF Champions League. Then Nassau United are second. They got that very important win away at Abia Warriors, which pushed them to second with 38 points. And then Abia Warriors, that's Nassau United. And Abia Warriors, who were vanquished by Nassau United, are now third with 37 points. And the good news for Rangers is that Rangers International are now within touching distance of Abia Warriors because they are fourth on the log with just a point behind Abia Warriors, and they've scored more goals. Rangers have one of the best attacks. I think it's only Bendel Insurance. And Niger Tornadoes with 28 goals scored, Bendel Insurance with 26 goals scored. I think that's pretty much it. Then Rangers with 25 goals scored. Rangers have the second best, third best attack in the NPFL. So it's looking good for the Flying Antelopes at the moment. Then we have Ikorodu City, who are on the same number of points with Rangers in 5th position, but with an inferior goal difference. Shooting Stars of Ibadan have 35 points. That's why they're in 6th place. Niger Tornadoes are 7th on the log with 32 points, the same number of points as Bendel Insurance, who are 8th on the log. El Kanemi Warriors have 31 points, which makes them 9th on the log, with Warri Wolves being 10th on the log with 30 points. Now, the reason Warri Wolves are above Katsina United in 11 points is because of goal difference. Warri Wolves have a +1 goal difference, while Katsina United have a -1 goal difference. Margins, my friends. And then 12th place, Enyimba. We mentioned that in the headlines, that Enyimba have some issues. Right now, they've scored 24 goals and considered 24 goals. So they have a 0 goal difference. That is a big problem. Leaking goals, lacking goals, a toxic combination indeed. Then Bayelsa United are 13th on the log with 27 points. Wiki Tourist 14th on the log with 26 points. Same number of points as Barao FC with 26 points. Remo Stars, the defending champions, as we speak, are losing, and they have 25 points from what may be their 13th loss of the season. That is alarming for defending champions, and there are still 16 games to go, and they are just above the relegation zone because Kwara United are 17th on the log with 24 points, Plateau United are 18th on the log with 24 points, Kano Pillars, same as Sugida, are 19th with 22 points, and Kun Khalifat, if they pull this one off, they will still be within a fighting chance of at least doing their best to make sure they don't go down without a fight. They have 21 points, but they are rock bottom. Margins for error. No, Kelechi, this season is looking very, very dicey on all fronts. I don't know how you see it.
I think it is safe to say that the identity of the NPFL is the tightness of the gaps. You will hardly find the NPFL with a lot of gaps, the sort that we see in some of the European leagues. Whenever you come to the NPFL, when you see teams from second to seventh or eighth being differentiated by maybe 3 points or 4 points, which means if you lose one game, you might find yourself at the bottom half of the table, or you might see yourself at the top half of the table if you win. So what it means is that at this point of the season, every win you grab in the NPFL is extremely important. I think the shocking result yesterday was Abia Warriors losing at home to Nasarawa United. I know Nasarawa has been a solid team this season. At some point, they've been top of the log. But I think one team that has been really consistent this season is Abia Warriors. I have to say, Amaka Pabu has done a great job at Abia Warriors, finishing third last season, and still this season continuing to, push and, just continuing the fight, sitting second before the games yesterday. And as at the time the games were ongoing, Rangers were third on the log. But the moment Nasarawa United came back into that game and defeated Abia Warriors, Nasarawa chased down Rangers to fourth, and Nasarawa took the third position. But then what it now means is that both Nasarawa, Rangers, I think we have Abia Warriors at 38 points, Nasarawa United at 37 points, Rangers at 36 points. That's 1 point each, separating each of them. And what it means is that all of them understand that they cannot lose. The grip right now. If you lose a point, you are in trouble. So everyone will be going for it. And it also means danger for Rivers United. And Rivers United at this point need to understand that there's no room for any slip-ups. And, like you said, we'll get back to what they did at the CAF Champions League, day before yesterday. But in the NPFL, Rivers United obviously should understand at this point that there is no room for slip-ups. If you slip up, the gap will be cut down. Yes, right now they are 5 points ahead of Nasarawa United, even though they have a game in hand, of which if they win the game, it would be 8 points gap. But they are not far from a touching distance. That's the thing. And look at what Remo is doing right now, losing to Kun Khalifat in the game that is currently ongoing. Kun Khalifat, who are bottom of the log. Remember, at the start of the season, I think that was the second match of the season, Kun Khalifat lost to Remo Stars in Owerri. That game, Remo Stars defeated Kun Khalifat 2-1. So if Kun Khalifat get this win in Ibadan, remember Remo Stars are not playing in Ikene. If they get this win in Ibadan, it would be a sweet revenge for them. But how much would it help them in their relegation battle? I think a lot. It will help them a lot.
Okay. Yes, greatly. I think it will help them a lot, like you said, just like you said.
Yeah, it's definitely going to help them, because, they need some sort of motivation. They need to, this sort of win to help them get back the belief that they can fight for anything. They can fight to survive. They can fight to, get out of that bottom of the log. It was not always Kun Khalifat at the bottom. We saw Kano Pillars occupied that position for a very long time, but somehow Kano Pillars began to rack up the points and they have left that position. And right now, it is Kun Khalifat who occupied the position. But this game, I think they just need to hold on to this particular lead and make sure they see it out. They see it off. At the end of the day, they'll be celebrating because it would be a lot more than just a win. It would be, it would be a motivation.
A lifeline.
Yeah,
also.
it would be a lifeline to surviving the relegation battle. And we know how difficult the relegation battle is. So as much as it is tight up there at the top of the log, it is also tight down the log.
Okay. So that well said. So I think anyway, that's the NPFL, and then there's a lot more action to go as we approach the what we call the squeaky bum time. Very, very soon we'll get to that. But still, before we move on to the continental exploits of, we call them exploits, let's draw. But still, we'll get to that in a bit. But still on Rangers.
That's actually a positive result.
Yeah, I know. A point. They went there to make a point and to get a point. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a bit. First of all, we have to talk with a bit of excitement concerning Rangers International, because what the men are doing, the women are showing us what they're capable of doing too. Because Rangers Women's Football Club will be in the championship very, very soon. They've already qualified for the championship. It's going to begin very soon. And then they had a warm-up game against Zohar FC, and it was an 11-0 mauling that they handed out to Zohar FC. The goals were scored. Of course, Amarachi Oheri scored a brace in that game, and Onu Chukwueze also scored a brace in that game. The rest of the goals were scored by the others. No, one goal. It was just like sharing word rounds. Everybody sharing goals round.
I tend to not pay a lot of attention to preseason games. I'm sorry, but at whatever level, it is always difficult for me to take preseason games seriously, because you would always see some sort of bizarre results. I remember at the start of this season, I remember Bayern Munich beating some team 27-0 in a preseason game. So please, preseason, yeah. But I have to say, the Rangers female team, they are doing a great job. This is a team that only started existing last year. Before last year, there was no Rangers women's team. So, and they went into the championship playoffs and they got the promotion to the championship. And now this season, they'll be playing in the championship, hoping to get promoted to the NWFL. So the preparations has begun, and you could see that the players are raring to go. They are willing, they have the fight in them, and they have the support of the entire management, Rangers management. So we are actually hoping that they go out there and get that qualification, because for a club as big as Rangers International, they deserve to have a female team in the women's top tier league. And that's exactly what they are approaching.
And that is a certainty indeed. And as we wrap up this first segment of the show, we go straight to the CAF Champions League, like we've already teased. In the CAF Champions League, we had some results, very, very important results in the CAF Champions League. Remember, Rivers United are Nigeria's only representatives on the continent in the CAF Champions League. And then we'll give you a rundown of the results that took place in the CAF Champions League in the round 3 games. Round 3 games, we had, of course, first of all, the Mamelodi Sundowns game versus against Al Hilal Al Ubaid was cancelled for certain reasons. But we move straight the Group B action. Al Ali beat Young Africans. Remember, Al Ali are the most successful club side in world football with over 150 titles. And that's massive indeed. Then Mamelodi Sundowns eventually won the game that was postponed. Rather, they drew the game that was postponed against Al Hilal 2-2. Al Hilal had a red card, a man sent off. Then Group A games, Power Dynamos against Rivers United. We are getting to that. Rivers United, remember, they lost their first 2 games against the defending champions, Pyramids FC of Egypt and RS Berkane, who are leading the Group A. And they went over there to get their first point. They went to Zambia in Eastern Africa and then grabbed themselves their first point after a goalless draw against the Power Dynamos of Zambia. So what that means, because the other game was played between RS Berkane and Pyramids FC of Egypt, and he ended the goalless draw as well, which means that RS Berkane are top on the log, having scored 5 goals and conceded 1. Then that's Pyramids FC, the defending champions, are on 7 points, the same goal difference, but they've scored 4 goals, considered none. Rivers United have 1 point, that solitary draw, and that was against Power Dynamos, but because of goal difference, they're in 3rd position. A very tall ask indeed, but we'll get to that in a bit. Esperance of Tunisia beat Simba 1-0. Then Kabile and AS FAR had a goalless draw. Then Saint-Eloi Lupopo beat MC Alger 1-0. And then Stade Malien beat Petro de Luanda 2-0. After 3 games, Kelechi, Rivers United ended up having a point. I don't know. I want to say, now Rivers United are not Liverpool. They're not Liverpool, but I'm just trying to give myself a bit of hope. I remember was it the 2007, 2008 or 2008, 2009 season? I can't remember which one exactly, in the UEFA Champions League. Liverpool were in the same group with Olympique Marseille, Besiktas of Turkey, and FC Porto. I remember the sequence very well. The first match Liverpool played was a 1-1 draw away at Portugal against Porto in Oporto. Then the second match at Anfield, they welcomed Olympique Marseille. Marseille beat them 1-0. A shocking result indeed. Then match day 3, they lost to Besiktas when they traveled to Istanbul in Turkey. So Liverpool, whoever was looking at Liverpool saying Liverpool is going out, they're crashing out, because they had 1 point, solid 3 points from the first 3 games. The reverse fixture, match day 4, Liverpool welcomed Besiktas to Anfield, and they thrashed them 8-0. Yossi Benayoun scored a hat-trick in that game. I remember that vividly. Then the next game was against I think it was against Porto. They beat Porto 4-1 at Anfield. Then the last game, they went over to the Stade Velodrome in Marseille, and they thrashed Marseille 4-0. So they picked up maximum points, 9 points from those 3 games after picking 1 point from the first 3 games. Now, like I said,
I'm just waiting for you to
Rivers United is not Liverpool.
I'm just waiting for you to finish.
I just have to say it
so
now,
that I'll get your point. Even though I already knew your point even before you started your analysis.
Hope now.
But now hold on, please.
Go ahead.
The truth of the matter is that Liverpool, whatever they did, that is Liverpool. That is the UEFA Champions League. Now we're talking about Rivers United, and we're talking about the CAF Champions League. Football is football everywhere, but it is played differently, especially at different levels. Now, the CAF Champions League you can't really equate it as same as the UEFA Champions League. So Rivers United, they had the opportunity to get a win or at least a draw in that game against, I think that was Pyramid in Uyo. Yes. Where they were leading, but then somehow due to individual errors, they lost that game. And then also remember they lost the first game of the CAF Champions League to RS Berkane. Now they've gone to Zambia and gotten a draw against Power Dynamos. And to actually note, Power Dynamos actually just acquired a player from Rangers International last week. Yes. That's the Rangers left back Evans Obonda. Even though he didn't feature in that game against Rivers United, but we're hoping that maybe when they'll be coming to Nigeria, he would be part of the team, hopefully anyway. So, but picking up this draw, don't forget that Power Dynamos right now are bottom of the log in that group, meaning Power Dynamos only has 1 point, which means they have lost the 2 games they played, just like Rivers United. So we could almost say they are equal, they equal themselves on strength and quality.
Now, then same WhatsApp group with
but now, Power Dynamos will be coming to Uyo to face Rivers United. The expectation is that Rivers United would beat them in Uyo. At least we expect them to beat them in Uyo. But what do you think Rivers United would do against Pyramids and RS Berkane? Now, that is where the Nigerian football factor comes in. When I say Nigerian football, I mean Nigerian club football. Do we play at the same level that other nations play at? Especially in the North Africa, where we see the clubs play at a very high level. There's a reason they have dominated the CAF Champions League all these years. We don't play at that level. So, expecting us to, beat Pyramids and RS Berkane, I think it would be, a very, very strong expectation. I'm not saying it is not possible, but I would say lower your expectations. Okay. I'm not saying it is not possible. Get me right.
No, I know.
But lower your expectations because, the 2 teams that are at top of the log in that group right now are 2 powerhouses in African football. They are 2 powerhouses in African football. Rivers United still, they still rank as the best Nigerian team when it comes to CAF competitions. I think they were ranked 15th or so in Africa. But then if you are talking about Pyramids and RS Berkane, the both of them are in the top 10. I could even go as far as telling you that Pyramid is in the top 5. So there is a reason why Rivers United is where they are, and Pyramid and RS Berkane are where they are. So, but we hope that somehow Finidi George, and alongside his assistant, Yemi Olaruwaju. Yes, I hope they find a way to tinker around the team and get us the results, because Nigeria needs to make a statement in African football, but we have to say it is definitely going to be difficult.
Very difficult, not impossible, but very improbable. I just have to tell the truth. Well, I hope it's not a business strategy, but anyway, it is what it is. So just before we close this segment of the show, because of time, and I had to factor in this, we'll go straight to the EPL before we have a short break, and then, because I need to pick your mind concerning maybe your own thoughts concerning refereeing decisions, that the ones that come to your mind regarding what happened recently. We'll just go to the EPL first of all before we go on a short break. And the English Premier League was full of a lot of action. Round 23 in the English Premier League, West Ham United began proceedings by beating Sunderland 3-1. Then Fulham beat Brighton and Hove Albion 2-1. Samuel Chukwueze grabbing, I think it was the equalizer, in that game, before Harvey Wilson scored a free kick to get the win at Craven Cottage. Burnley and Tottenham Hotspur 2-2 draw. Tottenham had to work hard. Romero grabbing a very late equalizer to give them a share of the spoils. Manchester City expectedly beat Wolverhampton Wanderers. The resurgence of Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-0, 2 goals scored in the first half, but it was a tough one, tougher than people would expect. Then Bournemouth beat Liverpool, ended their unbeaten run so far this year, beat them by 3-2. And then Brentford lost at home to Nottingham Forest 2-0. Tayo Awoniyi on the score sheet in that game. Then Newcastle United lost at home to Aston Villa. Aston Villa grabbing their first win over the Magpies at the northeast of England in Tyneside, St James's Park, for the first time in about 20 years. 2005 was the last time they got that win. Then Crystal Palace, 10-man Crystal Palace lost at home to Chelsea Football Club 3-1. Chelsea, very important win for them there. Then the shocker for many, but still not much of a shocker. This was the biggest game of the season, and it was full of so much drama. A 5-goal thriller. Manchester United grabbed their revenge against Arsenal Football Club in a 3-2 win at the Emirates Stadium. Fantastic game indeed. Not very fantastic for Arsenal fans, but fantastic for any football neutral and Manchester United players. Now, Michael Carrick has grabbed 2 consecutive wins in the Premier League against 2 big title heavyweights, and that's Manchester City in a 2-0 win at Old Trafford, and then now Arsenal in a 3-2 win at the Emirates. And then, of course, tonight by 9 p.m., Everton will be hosting Leeds United. Kelechi, just in about 1 minute, give us a rundown of that, what happened there, where Arsenal got it wrong, where Man U got it right, and then any refereeing inconsistencies in that game and any other game. Okay,
I'm going to be very quick with the game between Manchester United and Arsenal. I have to say, congratulations to Manchester United. We have to give Michael Carrick the credit for, finding a way to remind Manchester United players of what the club is known for, of the identity of the club, the DNA of the club. I think that was exactly what's played in that game. It was a game of the mentality, and Manchester United players knew exactly what they wanted. Arsenal players, I cannot say same for them. I think the game, somehow it got into their heads, and they questioned themselves, because these are a set of players that we've seen show week after week that they have the quality, that they have the mentality. But yesterday, that mentality failed them, because we saw players struggle that like they would not, ordinarily. We saw Zubimendi give some, I don't know how to explain that, but I would say it was a free drink. Yeah, a free gift to Brian Mbeumo, which helped Manchester United get the equalizer, and I think that actually spurred Manchester United to come for it, and they kept going and kept going. They took the lead again, and Arsenal equalized, and eventually they got the winner. But it was a classic Premier League football, a game that had everything you want to see in a Premier League game, for a Premier League derby match, even though maybe not derby but a rivalry. Yes, a serious rivalry. rivalry between the two sides. And, just last week, Manchester United defeated Manchester City, and Arsenal fans were happy that Manchester United had helped them. This week, they have now defeated Arsenal. Now, Manchester City is happy that Manchester United has helped them. So you could call Manchester United Robin Hood, steal from the rich, give to the poor, something like that. Let's see what they do when they face Fulham next. But we have to say, Michael Carrick is a solid coach. I have always said that he's a solid coach. At least he did a brilliant job at Middlesbrough. Maybe a lot of people do not know that Michael Carrick has been in management ever since that 2021 stint that he had at Manchester United. He's still been in management and he's been doing great. I have to tell people, you see the English Championship, that is where football is played in England. That championship will mess with your mental health.
Yes.
And you go play game, you go tire. So for any manager that is there and he's doing great, believe me, if you put that manager in a top club, he will do well. But let's move on quickly from there. I think it is just a blip on the road. And
I want to drop this piece of information and then you continue. For the record, right now in the English Premier League, the only unbeaten side at home is Sunderland. Just for the record, Sunderland just came up from the championship.
Don't worry. Go ahead.
For now, make a talk for now.
Don't worry.
You go ahead now.
They never planned them now. Why?
Go ahead.
So let's move on from that quickly because I feel like it is nothing too serious. Losing that game to Manchester United by Arsenal. I think Arsenal will still pick themselves up and go ahead to win the league. I still don't see any other team winning the Premier League this season. I still think it is going to be Arsenal. So, but let's talk about some refereeing decisions that people actually found confusing, and it came in the game between Chelsea and Crystal Palace when Chelsea were awarded a penalty. That was the third goal of the game, and Camvot, I think that's his name, Camvot, yes, the Crystal Palace defender, saw a shot. He blocked a shot with his hand. A shot that was goal bound because the goalkeeper was nowhere, near saving the ball, and the ball struck the defender's hand, a ball that was going into goal. And ordinarily, that is a red card because the law calls it stopping a goal. There's a difference between stopping a goal scoring opportunity, stopping a promising attack, and stopping a goal. Now, handball offense ordinarily is not a yellow card offense. Unless it is stopping a promising attack, unless it is disrupting an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, the law calls it docto, or it is stopping a goal. If it is stopping a promising attack, it is a yellow card. If it is stopping an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, if it is outside the box, it is a red card. If it is inside the box, it is a yellow card because a penalty will be awarded. But if it is stopping a goal, it is a red card and a penalty.
Whether inside the box or outside the box.
Most times, if it is stopping a goal, it is usually inside the box. That's when you say it is stopping a goal. It has to be very close to the goal. It has to be a situation where you're sure that if he hadn't handled the ball would have gone in. So, and most of those times, it is usually in the box, but it can still happen outside. But anytime it is stopping a goal, it is usually a red card. So it happened in that game. Chelsea were awarded a penalty, but Camvot was shown a yellow card instead of a red card. And it has got people talking. And that's why I'm out here to explain. Now, I've always mentioned that there are different kinds of handball. Handball that if it happens outside the box, it would not be given as a foul. There are some handballs that if it was an attacker who handled the ball, it would not be given as a foul. There are some handballs that if it is a defender who handled the ball, it would not be given as a foul. Example is when a defender is trying to play the ball out or not the ball out and he hits his hand, it is not given as a handball. If a defender goes to the floor to make a tackle and he's supporting his body with a hand and the ball hits the hand, it is not given as a handball. There are also the other examples of accidental handball. That's when an attacker is trying to get a ball and somehow maybe the both of them kick the ball and quickly hits his hand and he goes on to pass to his teammate. It is not given as a handball. So, but this one, it was an accidental handball. That in that penalty situation, it was an accidental handball. Ordinarily, it might not have been given if maybe there was someone else behind him to stop the ball from going into the goal. But because that hand was the only reason the ball did not go into the net, the penalty had to be given and the punishment had to come down from red card to yellow card.
Okay.
That's it. That explains it. So the yellow card was shown because it was an accidental handball, not because if it had been an ordinary handball, like an intentional handball, he has stretched his hand just to make sure the ball doesn't go in, then it is a red card. But because it was an accidental handball and it was stopping a goal, they had to give the penalty and step down to a yellow card.
Okay, brilliant. I think that will be that for now, because there will still be other refereeing decisions that we are going to question over the week. But thank you very much, Kelechi.
You're welcome.
Good having you here. And I know that your team, I suspect a team you support, and your team probably got a win this weekend. And congratulations on that. I'm wearing black, not because I'm wanting anybody.
My team lost on Saturday. We played a match against a particular management, and we lost.
Okay, yes.
The Sports Writers Association played a match against Rangers management, and we lost 1-0. That's my team.
It happens anyway.
And you can accuse me of missing so many goal chances.
No problem.
Scoring chances.
Now you're way before. All right. Thank you very much, Kelechi Naji. Thank you very much, guys. We'll be right back after this short break, and we'll go to other news in the world of sports. Stay tuned. We'll be right back in a jiffy. You're welcome back to the Afia Sports Review Sport on Afia TV. Frequencies are still channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 Go TV, and channel 748 Free TV. Now we're going straight to the Italian Serie A, but first, before we do that, the Spanish La Liga. So the Spanish La Liga results, round 21 in Spanish La Liga. Levante beat Elche 3-2, and then Rayo Vallecano lost at home to Osasuna 3-1. Valencia beat Espanyol 3-2. Then Sevilla beat Athletic Bilbao 2-1. We mentioned that earlier, that Akor Adams grabbed the brace in that game. Then we saw Villarreal lose at home to Real Madrid 2-0. Atletico de Madrid beat Mallorca 3-0. Barcelona beat basement boys Real Oviedo 3-0. Real Sociedad, 10-man Real Sociedad beat Celta de Vigo 3-1. Alaves beat Real Betis 2-1. And then tonight by 9 p.m., Girona will play against Getafe. Those are the results in the Spanish La Liga. Just in a minute. I have, of course, joining me, first of all, great thanks to Kelechi Naji for being part of the first part of the show there. But I have the divinator here with his divining tools. Divine, Onwuka, welcome, boy.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And then we are going to look, first of all, the two key games there. Real Madrid cut down Barcelona lost last weekend to Real Sociedad. And then as a result, the lead was cut down to 1 point, and that 1 point was maintained. Now, Barcelona have 52 points, Real Madrid have 51 points. And Madrid did that because they had to win away at Villarreal. At the El Madrigal Stadium. So that was a very important one. Then Barcelona beating Real Oviedo. At what point, let me just touch the Barcelona game alone, because Madrid got a very important win against Villarreal. But looking at the Real Oviedo game, Real Oviedo have really struggled this season. Their first season in La Liga in a very long time. In fact, you could see that Santi Cazorla tried his best to get his home side club into La Liga, and he did that. That was a dream for them. But they have struggled because they're just pointing above their pay grade at the moment. Were you surprised that Barca beat them by only 3-0?
By only 3-0?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, only.
Only 3-0. 3-0. Oh, okay, I'm not really surprised because it was expected that Barcelona would beat them. But even though I still saw Barcelona missing one or two chances, there was actually a clear-cut chance. The last kick of the game, it was missed. The Lamine Yamal dropped it for, I don't know whether it was Ferran Torres or Lewandowski. And the goalkeeper was able to save it. It was a one-on-one situation there. But I wasn't surprised. I was actually more like happy that Barcelona has got back into winning ways. Vital goals from Dani Olmo, who has been in form, I must say. Then Rafinha, always doing what he knows how to do best, scoring goals. And then Lamine Yamal, the golden boy, who scored a very wonderful scissor kick. So I was actually happy that Barcelona won.
Okay, so fine, we'll move straight to the Italian Serie A and then we'll start wrapping up things from there. In round 22 Italian Serie A games, Internazionale at the San Siro thrashed Pisa 6-2. Como scored 6 goals past Torino without reply. Cesc Fabregas doing a wonderful job so far. Fiorentina losing at home to Cagliari 2-1. Lecce and Lazio had a goalless draw. Sassuolo beat Cremonese 1-0. Then Genoa beat 10-man Bologna 3-2. Atalanta thrashed Parma 4-0. Ademola Lookman was not on the score sheet. He came on in the 69th minute, so he wasn't able to do much more after that. No, sorry, 79th minute, I beg your pardon. Then Juventus thrashed Napoli by 3-0. Kenan Yildiz was also on the score sheet. Jonathan David also. So that was a big one for them. Roma and Milan played a 1-1 draw at the Stadio Olimpico. And tonight, Verona will play against Udinese. That's the Italian Serie A for you. And because of time, we'll go straight to tennis. You know. All right. And we had the Australian Open. It's at the quarterfinal stages there. The big piece of news, first of all, of course, Musetti beats Taylor Fritz 3-0, 3 sets to love, I beg your pardon. Yannick Sinner beat Darderi, his Italian compatriot, 3 sets to love. And then Mensik, that's Jakub Mensik, lost 3 sets to love to Novak Djokovic without even playing at all. It was a walkover. Novak Djokovic Mensik did not show up. So Djokovic grabbed a berth in the semi-finals there. And then, of course, Sheldon knocked out Casper Ruud. That's for the ATP Tour. Jessica Pegula beat out her teammate, her compatriot, Madison Keys, American Madison Keys, and defending champion of the Australian Open. And Amanda Anisimova beat Wang by 2 sets to love. Then Iga Swiatek beat Inglis by 2 sets to love. Those are some of the key results there. Australian Open is getting hot and hot. Djokovic is 39 years of age this year. Is he likely to win? Just in a second, is he likely to win this time around, or is he going to deal with Sinner and Alcaraz again?
Any of them can happen, but given his experience and what he has given to the world of tennis, I think he might come in red hot this time. I'll be like, okay, yes, I'm 39 years old, but I still have what it takes to be a champion.
Okay. I honestly hope that that's the case, and that's because he's my GOAT as far as tennis is concerned. Thank you very much, guys, for being with us on the Afia Sports Center. Divine, I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And Kelechi Naji, thank you very much for what you do all the time, for being there like a true brother. And also, I celebrate everybody that's worked behind the scenes. Thank you very much, even though, whether in present or in absentia, thank you very much, the cameraman who's been doing his job very well there. That will have to be Harrison. Thank you very much. And in the MCR, I salute you over the MCR and PCR. Ebube, thank you for what you do. Also, Jonathan, I called your name 3 times. He gets why. Thank you very much for what you do in the MCR. And everybody who's been involved. We also have Queen. Queen is here right behind the scenes. Thank you very much for all you do. We'll do this again next time. And Emeka, of course, Emeka Madoka, my trusty lieutenant, is there just around the corner. We'll do this again on Thursday during the Banter Box. I have a feeling that a certain club in North London is going to get roasted in the Banter Box this Thursday by 5 p.m. I don't
just call their name.
Thank you very much. We'll do this again. Till then, remain blessed. I am Sisi the Rabbi, signing out.